Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary here at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me tonight, it is Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle.
Yeah.
Kelly, what is this team's infatuation with winning these games?
They love winning in garbage time.
I am really torn on who they hate more. The Philadelphia Flyers, the players on this team, the organization. Did they hate John Tortorella more or us?
Oh, definitely to us.
I think it's very clearly John Tortorella. But man, as soon as we start this, okay, well, it's over. The Flyers have now tied their longest winning streak of the season. They have not won 4 in a row yet this season. This is the 5th time they've won 3 in a row, and it is all post John Tortorella firing. Ivan Fedotov in net tonight. Now listen, the Predators are real bad too.
Oh, they're so bad. What in the world?
They are eliminated. They're the 3rd worst team in hockey.
Yeah.
But the Flyers, I don't know if they got outplayed tonight. They give up more shots, but I don't know how many actual scoring chances they had. Like, how many times did they really look dangerous versus the Flyers? Yeah, they scored 2. I can't say the Flyers played well, but what the hell are they doing? What are our Philadelphia Flyers doing?
I mean, honestly, they're having a good time. They're out there having fun again. This is why it's hard for me. It's really hard for me as a Flyers fan to watch a game. Even in the previous 2 games that they won, they looked better.
Yeah.
Tonight, they didn't look that great. They looked kind of crappy for long stretches. They just got very lucky that Nashville is real bad.
We saw a couple of bounces. Mm-hmm. There's obviously that very clear goalie interference that they waved off right away.
Yeah.
But that puck that kind of just falls and sits in the crease and then bounces the other way.
Right.
Like, they got a little lucky, but also the Nashville Predators scored a single goal on Ivan Fedotov. 1.
But even tonight, like, they just look looser and freer, and they're doing stuff and they're trying things and they're having a good time. And it's like, it's really hard to be mad about that. You know what I mean?
It's especially hard when we get to tonight's Ace Hardware temperature check. Let's take a look at which Flyer is heating up or cooling off with our Ace Hardware temp check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. And Matvei Michkov extends his point streak to a season-long 6 games, couple of assists on the night, picks up an assist on the Ryan Poehling goal, gets another one on Drysdale's goal, where this is what we've been saying, like the Drysdale one especially. He's going to pick up points by accident just because he's always around the puck in dangerous areas.
I think he did that on purpose.
You know what? You can't prove he didn't.
No.
And we've seen, like, especially we've compared him to Kucherov so often. Like that little shootout move Kucherov does where it looks like he's doing other stuff and then the puck just squirts in over there. Mm-hmm. He lets it fall. Maybe it was that. But either way, season long now, 6-game point streak. So we can't rack it all up to Tortorella. 3 of these games were with him.
Sure.
But you just look at what this guy's doing. 24 points in his last 23 games. I want to talk to Charlie about this because we talked so much about this March schedule, and now last game in March, they're off till Friday or when Saturday? They're off
Saturday.
till we leave Friday. Yeah. They're off till Saturday, and he's had this ridiculous month of March where they averaged more than a game every other day. It was like 16 games in 28 days or something.
We noticed.
And he's been, yes, we certainly did. Like, he has been on fire basically the whole time. This is one of his less noticeable games. Just an easy 2 points. You know, no big deal.
Do you think there's a chance he could sneak into the...
I think he could be a finalist because we've looked at Dustin Wolf's, his candidacy is kind of like the Taylor Hall candidacy, where it's like, well, look at them. What would they be without him? But if you don't make the playoffs, then, I think it's a lot like Tortorella with the Jack Adams last year. Like, oh yeah, if they get in, he wins. And if they don't, what did he really do?
Dodged a bullet
And if
there,
that's what
didn't they?
happens with Calgary, I think that could really determine whether he's a finalist. But now you just see what he's doing, the even strength points, the primary points. I mean, he's killing it to close out this season. And when getting worn down was such a part of the argument against him, he's as hot as ever. I mean, this temp check, man, he needs his air conditioning fixed to cool him down because it is 150 in the Michkov household.
So I wonder, like, was the hockey wearing him down, or was John Tortorella wearing him down?
I'm sure just we heard on the broadcast tonight, they're not playing much differently. Now they give up like 29 shots tonight, but they've been giving up their usual amount for the most part, like that mid-20s. They had another game in the teens a couple of days ago, low 20s. They're kind of playing the same, not giving up a ton of high-danger chances, blocking shots. They're just scoring a little more. Now, tonight, only a couple of goals. The power play coming through the last few games kind of boosted those stats. Crazy how that works. When your power play scores, all of a sudden your offense looks great.
What a concept.
It's crazy, but they're not playing a ton differently in terms of scheme, but they are freer. Like, that's obvious.
No, you can, as much as a vibe can be like visible to you, the vibes are visibly different.
Like 18
Torres got fired. 18
multi-point games now. He is our Ace Hardware temp check player because he is freaking on fire. But the team as a whole, you see that they've won 3 straight. Is this... Now, you look at the competition, Montreal, the best of these 3 teams, and they are a rising mediocre team. They're okay. They've been playing well, trying to lock down a playoff spot, but this playoff race in the East is a lot like last year. Let's see who can get it. Bunch of okay teams that probably won't win a round. Very little chance of an upset, I would say. But do you think just the overall team play, is it more to do with lack of Tortorella or lack of competition?
It's a really good question. It's probably a little both, right?
These teams that they're playing
they're
aren't
not good. Yeah.
But neither are the Fly. Like, that's the thing we've been saying for a month now is like, they might run into these bad teams, but they're losing to them because they're also bad. And now here they are, another victory tonight. It's perplexing.
I mean, tonight especially, I think that any mid NHL team would have beat the pants off the Flyers tonight. Like, they gave Nashville every opportunity, and Nashville's just really, really bad.
I mean, you just look at the Predators' leading scorers. Philip Forsberg, obviously leading the way for them, close to a point a game. And then their next highest scorers, Jonathan Marchessault, who was out tonight. He got hurt on Saturday. And then Steven Stamkos down there at 45 points in 73 games. That's who the Predators are. And my God, if there was ever, like, you know how we always rag on owners who don't want to spend, like, oh, if you're not willing to treat your team like a boat, then sell it. Predators owners got to be like, what did we do?
They tried hard.
We spent so much money this offseason, and they are horrible. I was in the comments during you and Steve's pregame, like, hey, remember when I picked them to win the President's Trophy? And I meant lottery. I got the lottery. I got the lottery and the President's Trophy confused.
That's something I would do for sure.
But this is a lifeless team for what I could tell out there tonight. Because the Flyers, they've been playing better. But like you said, a mediocre team would have beat them tonight.
It's real bleak. I mean, they're very like Flyers 5 years ago where they're trying to be good. And like no one, like Flyers fans were like, they're obviously not trying to be good. I'm like, no, they're trying.
No, they went out and signed and traded for guys.
They're trying real hard to be good. They're just really, really bad. That's where the Preds are right now. And that is as we know, a tough spot to be in.
That is a tough place to be. And I got to tell everyone listening, listen, we're about 10 minutes in. I usually don't do this till the end because I forget. Let's hit that like button. Let's hammer that like button and get it up to triple digits so we can get to even like maybe 200 in the replays and everything. We are pushing hard for likes here at the end of the season. We're doing a lot. We're going to have another giveaway tonight. Nice. I have a keyword. it is what it is. This competition has been way more entries than we expected, but that's what we love
I love
from
that.
our fam here that watches every single game. If we're kind of, I won't say checked out because we're giving you good content every day, but we're transitioning to the off season, and
Yeah.
the Flyers just simply won't let us because they keep winning games.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, though, difficult to be totally mad at it when you just take a look at the box score tonight and it's a couple of points for Matvei Michkov. Great. We love Michkov points. Ryan Poehling gets one, and Jamie Drysdale now 7 goals on the season. TK up to 49 assists. Like, it's the guys that we're really counting on are coming through. Where are you with this thing? Because I know you're a much more optimistic person than me. Obviously, you were Team Tank and still are. We want the lottery odds.
Yeah.
Even JJ and Boosh tonight kind of admitted, winning isn't the best thing, but what are you going to tell them? Lose on purpose? You can't.
No.
Like, how do you process what the hell this team is doing with this little 3-game win streak?
Bill, you once said several times, buy the ticket, take the ride. We are like, this is it. This is what they're doing. And as someone invested in the long-term success of this hockey team, what we're seeing now is ultimately, and people are going to argue because they're going to say, no, well, getting the low draft pick is better for the overall health of the team. No, not really, because that's just a maybe. And especially in this draft, unless we're winning the lottery and getting 1 or 2, I feel like this draft, you're just getting like a good guy, not like no one. You're not getting a Michkov in this draft. So it's good to see guys like Drysdale coming along. It's good to see that TK has found his way again. Owen Tippett scored an actual hockey goal the other day.
Yeah,
that's
nice to
see. These are things that, like, I'd be kidding myself if I said that I was mad about this. It just also would be cool to win the lottery. Technically, they still could.
There are 6 games left. Like we said, we'll be there in Montreal on Saturday, and they're at the Habs, at the Rangers, come home against the Isles, then they go to the Sens in a back-to-back. Columbus still fighting. They close out with Buffalo. Like, it is well within the range of possibilities. They go like 0-5-1 to close out, and we forget about this little 3-game winning streak. But they do just seem like a team that maybe they're just getting the bounces because they didn't score for so long, especially in the last few weeks leading up to this. But I'm just really freaking torn on what we're seeing because, yes, is there a franchise player in this draft? Probably not, but I always look back at 17 when they said, oh, you're not getting that guy, and, 4 teams did.
Right,
it was just
it's not us.
Just not us for some reason, because that's the way it goes.
Really, yeah.
But I don't know even if they don't get Misa or they don't get Schaefer, like, I don't know that James Hagens won't be that guy. I don't know if Frondell won't be that guy. Martone, I'm pretty sure, is a winger, but, who says your best players can't be wingers if they're that freaking good? I want one of these dudes, but if it's all about Mish, like, he is the main character, as we've said all season.
100%. Anyone we got in this draft would be a support character.
Yes.
To Matvei.
At most, it's like, oh, we can put him with Michkov, and now we have a duo, and maybe it's still TK on that line or something. And all right, that's a top line. Cool. It bumps everyone else down.
Yeah.
Cates and Coots and whoever are in their right spots. But I guess it is just buy the ticket, take the ride at this point. What am I going to get mad?
Yeah, right.
Like, they scored 2 goals tonight, and Mish had a point on both. It's not as if they came out and dominated. They're not.
Right. They look like crap.
They really didn't look good.
A stupid team that stinks.
There's a reason the Predators are the 3rd worst team in hockey, and it's games like this where it's the Flyers, who are not good, didn't even play like their B+ game tonight, and came away with one of their few regulation wins of the season. Like, they're still under 20 regulation wins, I'm pretty sure. This might have been 20 or 21 tonight.
That's very funny.
I guess you just gotta kind of make your peace with whatever the hell's going to happen in these final 6 games and the lottery odds.
Here's the thing. They still have the chance to win the lottery. Lower odds, obviously, but the chance is still there. We once went from 13 to 2.
It did happen. That is now illegal.
I know, but
Well,
I'm
13
saying,
to 2. No, you can get to 3 now.
get to 3.
Right,
Yeah. I'm saying we could jump.
It's possible.
Also, like, we got Michkov at 7. Teams are real dumb.
Teams are dumb.
And everyone's like, oh, James Hagens we don't like him anymore. He's falling. You know how, like, there's always one kid that was, like, hyped up forever.
Yes.
And then they just start to fall for, like, no particular reason, and everyone decides that they suck, and then they don't. So, like, maybe that happens. And we end up with him, and he's pretty good. Like, I don't know. A million good things could happen in this draft still.
Listen.
Would it be cool to pick 5? Sure. But,
who would have thought a player that we now see with the pedigree of Zeev Buium sitting there for the Flyers, and, like, yes, they trade down and everything, and we'll see if Jet Luchenko, if that pick pays off, but
I'm telling
a
you.
guy that good was there for them then. So I know the last year was looked at as a deeper draft, even though it didn't have, like, top end guys. But I guess we just have to hope to get lucky, because that's all drafts and draft lotteries are, is getting lucky, and that's the spot we're in now.
We got a lot of time over the summer, but we're going to have a Zeev Jet conversation, because Jet's looking good in the AHL, and Zeev's doing cool things against college kids that you wonder, will he be able to do these things against NHL players?
Well, I'm willing to bet that he can, but we're talking about getting lucky, and let me tell you for a few minutes about our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I was actually really happy to see that you guys had on pregame today an Owen Tippett anytime goal. See if you could keep that hot streak going for him. It did not continue, but whether you are winning or losing, I very highly recommend Bet365 as your sportsbook of choice, because it's mine for a number of reasons. It's the 90 million users worldwide. It's the nearly 800,000 live streamed events each year. It's that early payout option where, say you bet money line in an NHL game, your team goes up 3, maybe they blow that lead. You don't have to sweat it out. Soon as your team goes up 3, you get that payout from Bet365. And we have breaking news from our friends at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets, New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. While we're here, got to tell you about Ace Hardware Home Services. You know I love Ace Hardware, and it's because when they show up for the next job, they remember what to bring. They bring experience. They've got local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installation and upgrades. They bring understanding. They listen to your goals, and the job isn't complete until you're satisfied. And they bring helpful. They bring helpful to your home so you can spend more of your time on the projects that really matter to you. And they've got free estimates on equipment installation and replacements with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. And of course, it's service you can trust, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. And Ace Hardware Home Services are local. They're teams that live and serve in your community, and they're dedicated to keeping their neighbors comfortable in their homes. So visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. All right, so Predators, it's not as if they were, they had 29 shots. They were really buzzing. The Flyers didn't generate a lot, neither did the Preds, but they got some through. That said, Ivan Fedotov stops 28 of 29 tonight. And that is, I know, I was dying for Fedotov to get this game. Hopefully we could fall in the standings, but it was not to be. It's actually one of the best totals of his career. So back in November, he had 33 saves in a game twice. On March 1st, he had 29 saves. Tonight, 28 of 29 for 966. I am kind of tired of the Fedotov conversation because it changes every time he plays well or bad.
Right.
But he's played so little NHL hockey.
Yeah.
When I see him look kind of normal tonight, it's a normal game. Yeah. 28 saves, Didn't look crazy. Dropped his stick once, but even with that, was able to get a freeze of the puck with his blocker hand. What the hell is this dude? Like, in your mind, can they bring him back next year to see if it's sample size? Let's see if he's a little bit more than we think. Are you there with him?
No, I just think it's too unreliable. And I don't know if we can afford to have another season with a goalie figuring it out. Not because we have to win a bunch of games next season. I don't think it's that. But like you've said a million times, it's hard to evaluate everybody else when, every third shot is going into the net. So I do think that they're going to need to get a backup goaltender for Ersson that is a reliable backup goaltender, and that's not Ivan Fedotov. It's cool that he got over here and he got a bunch of money. I love that for him, but I don't think it's going to work out. And then also you've got this Kolosov thing who's still just here hanging out.
He's
doing
back.
What? I don't know what he's doing.
A couple of days ago, we're like, oh, we're never seeing Ivan Fedotov again. And we might even get Kolosov into some of these games.
Yeah.
Kolosov still here and hasn't
Not
even
playing.
backed up.
Yeah, I don't get it.
He's not even on the bench for these games. It's very odd what is happening. And I think we were able to connect the dots pretty easily.
Right.
John Tortorella says, I am done with this guy. Give me the other guy. And Danny Briere says, fine, dude, whatever.
Yeah.
And brings him up. And, then 2 days later, John Tortorella gets fired and Ivan Fedotov. But I will say, as much as I think you're right, and this is all he's ever going to be, this is start 24 in his career. Yes, the age is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's something you have to take into account. But when we made a big deal in the start of the season, he's adjusting to the NHL. I would say in the second half, he's been more good than bad. He's had some really bad ones, absolutely, and those tank the numbers, and they stick out in your mind like, this guy stinks. Look at some of the goals he's giving up.
Right.
But he's had some good games as well.
You're not wrong.
I'm there with you. Like, no, I don't think they can do this. I don't think they can keep this going. You can't do it to all the other guys. More than even evaluating them, how can you have this dude who has an 90 save percentage at best to start the season? That's the best he can hope for. Come back at 29 on the last year of his deal. Oh, yeah, this will make sense. And then say he has a good year, we lose him for nothing. Like, I don't know. I don't think you can do it, but there is part of me that's like, why not? And that is probably a little weighted by Gavin McKenna. I will say.
Yeah.
The possibility of, if you have another tank here.
I mean, you could always go with Ersson Kolosov if Fedotov's willing to go to the AHL and play with Bjarnason, who I'm assuming will be down there next season.
It would, I believe that will happen.
Yeah, like if he was willing to do that, I'd be cool with that. But you can't have Kolosov and Fedotov in the AHL because there's only room for one of them.
Where does Bjarnason play?
Yeah, I highly doubt that Fedotov wants to go to Reading. Nobody wants to go there. That's worse than Allentown.
If he doesn't want to go to the AHL, I believe very little he will be willing to go to the ECHL. That will be, hey, man, we have the Uber for you, taking you to Reading. He's like, no. Niet.
Oh, how funny would it be to be making like $3.5 million living in Reading?
I am in we're Belarus right now. I am not coming back.
Yeah.
I think that's what would happen. But
probably.
I just see him play kind of normal. And I just wonder, like, what if we do have a guy who could have maybe a trajectory of an Alex Lyon? Yeah, he's not a starter, but he can be okay for you.
I do wish that we had gotten more of a look at him. I wish that Torts hadn't decided so quickly that he didn't like him, and had given him a few more starts that he gave to Ersson, just to have a little bit more time to evaluate. And maybe if you had given him, 3-4 starts in a row, maybe he finds a little bit of a rhythm or something. I don't know. But at this point, it's just a lot of shoulda, woulda. And I don't really think there's any way to like remedy this in a way that makes sense for the organization or the player, really.
I think that's what it comes down to is, it would have been nice.
Yeah.
But I don't think, say we waive him, so there's a contract termination, say he goes to the AHL, whatever, Ivan Fedotov, you're going to be missing out on oh man, that guy could have been Roman Czechmanic for a few years. Like, I don't think it was ever going to be that.
No.
Where, yeah, man, he won like a Jennings and was a Vezina finalist. Like, that ceiling isn't there, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But it was such a cool story, and I just see him play okay.
Yeah.
And think, what if he had 35 starts instead of 24 this year? Maybe we could have judged a little better, but ultimately, what are you really losing?
Yeah, maybe they terminate and he finds a place someplace else. Who knows?
Could be. Speaking of dudes who I kind of have my mind made up on,
Charlie?
Ryan Poehling. Yeah, Charlie. Ryan Poehling ties his career high that he set last year with 11 goals today. And in way fewer games, minutes per game than last season. Now, he turned 26 back in January. He kind of is what he is. But you take a look at what he has done, especially in this second half and this month. Ryan Poehling, 6 goals, 8 points in his last 7 games. I realize that's just a little bit of a heater, but this is a guy who was a first-round pick way back in 2017, did score a hat trick in his first career game, famously. I picked him to win the Calder the next year. But I like when guys like this just have a little run, even if this is all they're ever going to be. Do you think he could be more? Now, that said, they have like 4 guys to play the role he could play as like a 3C if it's not 4. But I feel like he could maybe have some value around the league if you wanted to trade him. He's a really good piece, and he's got a little bit more scoring touch than I ever thought.
So here's a question.
Or at least have in a year.
Yeah, we were kicking this around in the Broad Street Hockey Slack. We like Rodrigo Abels as a 4th-line center. He seems pretty good. Not bad. But Ryan Poehling is definitely better than him as a 4th-line center. But as you said, Poehling, you could probably use as a piece to maybe get something or, as a part of a package to get something, because he does have assets that I think would be the speed is undeniable. He's so fast. And he can play more than 4th-line minutes, I think. I think he could be an effective 3C. Probably.
With the right line mates.
With the right line mates, yeah. But it makes me wonder, we don't need a 3C. I think we're set at 3C. It's Sean Couturier. So then it becomes a question of, do you want Poehling as your 4, or do you think he's more valuable as a piece to get something else? And I wonder if it's not that second thing.
I thought you were going to go a different way with it in terms of your conversation in the BSH Discord or Slack. Noah Cates is the exact same age almost. He's like a month younger.
Is he really?
Yeah, Noah Cates turned 26.
I don't know why Ryan Poehling is so old in my brain.
He's just been around.
He's been
Noah
around
Cates,
forever,
Noah Cates, we have these last couple of years
Yeah.
exposure to him, and Poehling was a first-round pick. He went, 2 picks ahead of Morgan Frost. So we've just had more exposure to him. But Noah Cates is due a contract, and it might be a little bit of a raise. We like Cates in the role he's in, but like you said, ultimately, Sean Couturier gonna be here, and you're crossing your fingers he can hold out as that 3C. I gotta believe Cates, with his defensive acumen, ability to play wing and center, scored some this year, scored some in his rookie year. What if he's a trade piece instead? What if you make the decision between Cates and Poehling and you go, you know what? Poehling is cheaper, and maybe he's giving you the same output in the same role.
Is he, though? I don't know if he...
Would he in the same minutes? I don't know.
The thing is, I feel like if you trade Noah Cates with the idea... in my mind, Noah Cates is a winger now. In the ideal lineup.
That's the difference, is Poehling's value is at center.
Right.
And if that 3C role is what it is, I don't really know. Let's turn it over now. It is time to be joined by Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer. It is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from the Wells Fargo Center. Charlie, before we get into the quotes and your thoughts on the game, what is this franchise's infatuation with winning these lottery-killing games?
How did I know that was going to be the first thing that you were going to say, Bill? Bill, I don't know what to I think this is one of the reasons why I really am at the point where I'm just exhausted with this season, because they're not going to lose on purpose, Bill. They're not. The organization isn't, the players aren't. They've never been an organization, and I'm not just talking about like, this organization is so pathetic. Like, this whole plan was never based around the idea of tanking. You can disagree with it if you want. It's never been based around the idea of tanking. They were never going to purposely tank. And we always kind of had in the back of our heads that, like, when the schedule eases up, they're probably going to win more games, because they were in the middle of not just a brutally difficult slate in terms of the sheer number of games being played in a short period of time. They were just playing a lot of really good teams. And really, before those final two games against the Blackhawks and the Leafs, they were playing those good teams tough. They were. It's just they didn't have the firepower to beat the good teams. They do have the firepower to beat the bad teams. So, like, I don't know. Definitely they're playing better than they were those final two games before Torts got fired. That's obvious. That looked like a team that was just about to completely slide off a cliff the rest of the way. But they're basically back to playing the way they played in those games against, Dallas and Washington. And it's just that now they're playing against teams that they can beat rather than teams that they couldn't, given their lack of horses. Like, I get the frustration, I do, but also, like, I don't know why people, not that I don't know why they expect it differently, but, like, I get tons of people I mentioned screaming, like, yelling at the players. It's like, well, what did you think they were going to do? They weren't going to try to lose this on purpose, and they're playing against weaker teams that they can beat, and they're beating them. Like, it's really just that simple.
No, especially like tonight. I can't say they were better tonight than they've been in the past month. It's just they happen to score 2 instead of getting shut out. And the Preds also stink. So someone was going to win. It happened to be them. I find it frustrating that they can't win these games in January and February. And now, once we have our mind made up, but there's nothing you can do because they're not going to do things like sit Travis Konecny. That ain't going to happen. None of us want to see Matvei Michkov sit.
I did have some guy in my mentions today saying, why don't they sit Michkov? So there was one person who was saying that.
They can't. If they were to do that at home, the bracelets against Washington in 2016 would be an afterthought. Like, there would be a freaking riot, especially everyone all juiced up from the Phillies game today. People started pre-gaming. No, you couldn't do it. All right, Charlie, thoughts?
I made the argument, the case back to that guy, and my argument was simple, which was Matvei Michkov. It is way more important because, like, I was in a good mood today. I'll humor this argument, and my case back was, there's no player more important in this organization than Matvei Michkov. And if you sit him while he's trying to chase down a Calder, and this guy who loves hockey and wants to play his full NHL season, you are risking alienating him from your entire organization. And quite frankly, like, that's not worth maybe picking 4th instead of 6th.
Any standout quotes from the locker room?
Not really, aside from Michkov showing his sense of humor a little bit more. We obviously interviewed him with a translator still, with Slava, but he's definitely getting more comfortable. He kind of made a joke about the puck that he caught and then didn't finish. And he said, I'm trying to catch it, and then that messed with my eyes. Otherwise, I would have finished it. And then he stopped, and he's like, normally I finish those. He's like, except when it's an empty net, and that was funny. That was funny.
Oh, that's great.
I'm really looking forward to this kid. I don't even know if he needs to get more comfortable with the language, just getting more comfortable speaking, and we'll just really enjoy it. Speaking of Mish, since you bring him up, Charlie, we talked so much leading up to Four Nations about how it's clear he's worn down. Tortorella's saying it. Michkov is even saying it himself, again, through an interpreter, but like in an interview, like, yeah, man, I'm tired. It's freaking hard playing all these games against NHL competition. And we looked at this March schedule, like, okay, he's on fire coming out of Four Nations, but how's he going to deal with it? How do you chalk up, like, he's on a 6-game point streak, his longest of the season. This is their most condensed schedule that they've played. It's insane. Like, has he just adapted this quickly? Like, how do you, considering what we thought was happening to him when he was in his slump, how do we now explain how good he's been for really the last month?
Oh, I still 100% think he was gassed. I do not think this proves that he wasn't gassed. He was. And he even said today, he literally said in our interview, he's like, one thing about the NHL schedule is you're just as much competing with your own body as you are with the other teams. that it's a battle with your body to stay ready for these games. Number one, I just think the break did him well. And I said from the jump, I said this, leading into the Four Nations break, that I was fully expecting Michkov to come back from the break and put up a lot of points. That's exactly what he's doing. It really just kind of came down to, was he going to at some point run out of steam the way he ran out of steam, in my opinion, in February? Thus far, he is not. Now, might that happen in April? Maybe. That said, the schedule does ease up dramatically over these next 2.5 weeks, so perhaps he's just going to keep this rolling through the rest of the way. So, number one, Bill, no, I do not retract my belief that he was gassed going into the Four Nations break. I 100% believe that he was. He said that he was. His coach said that he was. He was gassed. I'm impressed that he hasn't gotten gassed again, but maybe that's honestly, he did get a real refresh during that break, and then maybe he is getting a little bit better at pacing himself in games, at not burning himself out. Also, they're practicing less too, so maybe that's part of it. Like there are fewer days on the ice in general. Maybe that's allowed him to pace himself a bit more. I refuse to retract my belief that he was gassed. He was definitely gassed. I'm impressed that he hasn't gotten gassed again, despite this crazy schedule, because it has been crazy.
Charlie, it's Garnet Hathaway's first game in actually over a month. How do you think he looked tonight?
I thought he played himself into the game. I thought in the beginning of the game there were a few sequences where the fully confident in his body Hathaway would have sought out contact, and I thought he avoided it. But by the third period, he basically looked like the old Garnet Hathaway again. So to me, look, he almost certainly dealt with a concussion. I didn't get that like 100% confirmed, but only because like it was so obviously a concussion. It was almost like, why bother? Those are tough to come back from. They're tough to come back from mentally, especially when you're a guy like Hathaway who plays such a physical game. Like his entire MO, it's not like he is a skilled player who plays physical. It's that he is a physical player who can pop in with some skill here and there. And you're coming back from a major brain injury, essentially. It's going to take you a little bit of time to kind of get back into rhythm. He missed a lot of time, especially if you count the fact that like there was Four Nations in there too. So he really hasn't played much hockey in the last 2 months. It was just going to take him a little bit of time. And I thought by the third period, he looked a lot more like the mix it up, chippy Garnet Hathaway than he did in the first, when it looked like he was still feeling himself out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious when Hath comes back with the tinted visor. That's kind of a dead giveaway. And I will say, as much as we've lost a couple of guys longer than we're used to with concussions, kind of nice to see that, like, at least the organization and the Flyers players taking them kind of seriously for the first time, ever. Chuck, I realize we have talked Ivan Fedotov to death, and probably this is what he is. Yeah, sometimes he can give you a good one, and other times he doesn't belong out there. But when I watch this guy just look normal tonight, that's it. Just look normal.
He looked normal to you? He did not look normal to me.
He looked. He had a couple. He had a couple of Fedotov things. He drops his stick. He has that one weird bounce, but for the most part, made a bunch of saves. This is only like his 25th career start. He's under 30 career total appearances. Maybe there's something else, or have you already made up your mind on Ivan Fedotov?
Yeah, I'm done with him.
Okay.
And he was good tonight. I guess he made a bunch of saves. He got in the way of pucks, but at no moment in this game did I feel comfortable with him in net. At no moment in this game. Because, I mean, what was it, like 2 minutes into the game, like he jumps into the glass trying to stop a puck? Like, what are we doing here? And I like him personally. He seems like a good guy. He seems like he's ingratiated himself within the team concept. He's liked by his teammates, given the fact that, like, he can't speak English all that well, but he can. They like him anyway. They seem to think he's a good dude. So, like, I'm not saying this out of like dislike to the guy, but I do not think under any circumstances you can come back with him next year as one of your 2 NHL goalies. I just don't. He's not reliable. You can't trust, like, he's the same guy who got destroyed in both games last weekend. Like, he is that same guy. Just because there was a night tonight where, like, he just happened to kind of get in the way of enough pucks, it doesn't change my view. Like, look, I guess if your goal next year is to get Gavin McKenna and you just want the Flyers to tank, then yeah, keep Ivan Fedotov and just roll with Harrison and Fedotov and let the chips fall as they may. But if you have any intention of like taking even a moderate step forward, I don't think you can, with a good conscience, go out there with Harrison and Fedotov as your tandem. And Harrison's 5 years younger. Like, Harrison could be part of this. I've been saying this for a while. Like, I just don't see the point of continuing to roll with a 29-year-old backup whose, like, best case scenario outcome is that he's a league average backup. I'd rather either go with a higher upside guy because, hey, maybe there's a chance that he could be, like, actually a legitimately good NHL goalie rather than, like, just a passable one, or go out and get a guy from the outside who I can be confident can be like a 1 to 2 year stopgap while we're waiting for Igor Zavragan or Carson Bjarnason or whoever. I don't see the point of continuing to ride it out with Fedotov if you're going to keep Harrison too, and I think they plan to. I think they like him enough. I don't see the point of continuing to ride out with Fedotov unless you're planning to tank, and we know the Flyers aren't planning to tank. So I personally don't see the logic in it.
Just wanted to ask the question, Charlie.
You're gonna ask this question every time he has a good game, and I'm gonna give you the same answer, because then every time he has a bad game, you're gonna be like, he's trash, he's terrible. I'm gonna hold to my answer regardless of good or bad, because I've made up my mind on this guy. Sorry.
And I respect that. I'm just looking. He's got, like, this was what, his 24th career start. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Probably not. But no, I just don't see a world in which they can come back with Harrison Fedotov next year. So that's that. All right, Charlie, it is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game, presented by our friends at Rite Aid. It's the Rite Aid 3 stars. Charlie, who is star number 3?
Yeah, star number 3, I'm going to go with Travis Konecny. Got 2 assists in this game. He and Michkov clearly have chemistry. It's much better than the chemistry that they had at the start of the year when they were playing together. It just seems like for whatever reason it's starting to click. Maybe that's just a matter of, Michkov now has a better understanding of the NHL, so he just has a better read on kind of where guys are. Guys like Konecny who play kind of an unorthodox style. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just that when they tried it the first time, both of them weren't going at the same time, and that's why it didn't work. This time it's working. Konecny was real good in this game. Michkov is going to get rightfully a lot of the credit on that 3-on-2 for that great play he makes to open up the defense. But Konecny also makes a hell of a pass to Ryan Poehling to turn it into a slam dunk goal. Konecny gets another assist on the other goal. Like, he had a real good game too. Travis Konecny is very much back. That snake-bitten slump, whatever it was, is over, and he's 3rd star.
Who is tonight's 2nd star?
Yeah, 2nd star is Ivan Fedotov. I can't give him 1st star because I can't help but think that, I watched this game. At no point did I feel confident he was going to make another save. He just kept making them. And props to him, good work. And he deserves to be one of the stars of the game because Nashville had the puck more than the Flyers. They outshot them. I'm not sure if they ultimately outchanced them because the Flyers did, I think, maybe have better quality chances, especially in the first half of the game. But they definitely outshot them, and they obviously outpossessed them.
Yeah.
Fedotov played well. I just don't think he played well in a way that's sustainable. But in this game, he played well. He's my 2nd star.
I like that you're consistent, Charlie. Finally, who is tonight's 1st star of the game?
Yeah, it's Matvei Michkov. I mean, he's playing great hockey. He finishes with 2 assists. He probably could have had 3 or 4. There was one pass he had to Konecny that Konecny rings it off the post. Like, Michkov's making plays. He looks great. And despite the understandable frustration from fans that they are winning games now and pushing themselves out of a possibility of having the 3rd overall pick or the 4th overall pick or wherever they end up, you got to be excited from what you're seeing from Matvei Michkov. Like, you have to be, because this is the guy. And really all year he's been good. He's gone through slumps. He's had runs where he looked tired. But this is the guy who has franchise-changing potential. And he's been showing it basically since the Four Nations break. You've been seeing it. Maybe he's had a few off games here and there. But overall, he's been real good since they've come back from that break, even as the team hasn't been for a lot of it. And that's really exciting because, yeah, they need more really good players. They 100% do. But if you have a superstar you frankly need fewer of the really, really good players, because guys who on another team would just be very good, if you stick them with Michkov, suddenly they become amazing. And it's looking more and more like Michkov is going to be one of those guys at the NHL level, maybe as soon as next year. And that's very exciting. Matvei Michkov, first star of the game.
All right, those are Charlie's 3 stars of the game presented by our friends at Rite Aid. Charlie, we will talk tomorrow at our 4 p.m. show. Until then, my friend, I will... actually, I do have one more question. What is your take on torpedo bats?
I don't... I guess my view of the torpedo bats is I don't think it's making that big of an impact.
Okay.
It might be a slight advantage for certain guys, but I think this is more a case of the Yankees probably were going to hit a lot of home runs that first weekend of the year, whether they were using torpedo bats or normal bats. And because it's a cool story, we're going to make a huge deal out of it. And then come August, some guys are going to be using them, and that's great. But I don't think this is oh my God, the game is being ruined because bats are shaped a little bit differently. I don't think this is a silver bullet here.
This is how good Charlie O'Connor is. I can just throw a different sport at him entirely,
Boom.
and he is a take ready to go. All right, Chuck, we'll talk tomorrow. See you then.
Bye, Charlie.
All right, see you guys.
Those bats are against God and nature.
You think
Baseball
they're
bats
unholy?
have a shape.
Okay.
And that's not
It is crazy to me that the baseball bat technology has not changed for 150 years.
Sometimes you get something right the first time.
And this week, there's different bats. Really?
We made them fat
All
in the
right.
middle.
All
Why? Reasons.
Sounds good to me. I'll tell you
Physics.
what it's been for these torpedo bats, though. It's been game time. And speaking of game time, let's take a quick minute to talk about our sponsors. That was a great transition, wasn't it? Regardless of how stupid that was, you know what's great? It's Game Time as a secondary ticket marketplace, the absolute best place to get tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Just a few home games left for our Fly guys, but baseball right across the street. If you can't tell, I was there today. Amazing time, great seats, all thanks to our friends at Game Time, who... I tell you about all their features, but it's that Game Time Picks feature. Filters out the fluff so you only see the best deals, curation, algorithm. It's tremendous when you start to narrow it down with Game Time. You don't waste time searching through thousands of tickets, and there's no surprises, whether it's the all-in pricing or the seat views or the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You never have surprises with Game Time, so take the guesswork out of take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. And while we're here, I got to tell you about Rothman Orthopedics. Maybe you want to get back to Game Time for you. Well, Rothman is where you got to go, because if you have aching joints or cramping hands or your back's out of whack, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, they've been practicing specialized care, and it's been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, it's high-quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Because each Rothman doc is laser-focused on their specialty, whether it's hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part right in your backyard, so you can get back to what you specialize in, because they're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make your appointment today. All right, and that leads me to tonight's keyword. We have a keyword for you tonight. Calder. That's right, it's Calder. We're getting back on this train. Matvei has to at least be a finalist the way he's finishing this season. He's going to be at or near the top in terms of points. Unless something drastic happens, he's going to lead the way in goals. We've all seen the 5-on-5, the even strength numbers, the primary point numbers. He's leading in all of it. Lane Hudson, hell of a season, especially for a defenseman. He might even still be one on my ballot. Macklin Celebrini, great rookie year. We see this every year out of a guy like him there. Dustin Wolf, he has to make the playoffs to be a finalist. But Calder, Matvei Michkov, the Calder finals. Here's how this is going to work, because I realize we've had another postgame. We're backed up. There's going to be 2 drawings this week. There are going to be 2 drawings tomorrow. the haircut keyword is going to have a drawing. And then on Wednesday's show, we will draw for Calder. So 2 separate DMs. You can get in with both. If you DM haircut the other night, if you DM Calder, you will have entries in both drawings. Hit us up, DM us at PHLY_Flyers on Twitter or the PHLY Flyers Blue Sky account. Both DMs opened. Get in on this drawing for a free t-shirt. PHLY Flyers t-shirt. Who doesn't love a free shirt? Tonight's keyword, Calder. All right. Charlie brought up Travis Konecny and the season he's having. 2 more assists tonight to get him numbers 48 and 49 on the season.
Pretty good.
That's 11th for a Flyer since the lockout. And the names ahead of him, Giroux, 68, Giroux, 65, Voracek, 65, Giroux, 63, Jakes, 59, Giroux, 58, Peter Forsberg, 56 and 05-06, Ghost in 17-18 with 52, Giroux with 51, and then Mike Richards with 50, rounding out the top 10. With 6 games left, it's going to be insane if he doesn't at least crack the top 10 and get ahead of Richards with 50, 51 assists.
It seems like he's going to, yeah. God, what a bleak time we've been having.
It really is when there's 2 guys plus Ghost and Richards with the other seat.
Yeah.
That's been it. And
Peter
it's not
Forsberg's
crazy.
on the list.
Yeah, Peter Forsberg, because he had that one amazing season in orange and black. But considering how this year started with TK with all the goal scoring, and the goal scoring has petered off, and we're a little disappointed that he's not going to get to 30 unless he has back-to-back hat tricks or something. But you see him still finding ways to create, and it still is impressive to me that he's going to rack up over 50 assists for a team that does not score, and when they do, it's quite often him.
I was going to say,
it's him or Michkov, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. And with, lines getting mixed up constantly throughout the season, no real center to speak of. It's a shame that his cold streak came at the end of the season because I think it's really colored people's overall opinion of what he did this year. He's had a very good season. And I think it kind of shows that, I really do think he's going to age in the Giroux model where he's just going to keep being good.
I hope so. I hope this is another dimension that he's adding to his game. And listen, a lot of it is he's playing with Michkov some, but he didn't for a majority of the season, And you look at the goal totals for this team, Owen Tippett just cracked 20 in the last game. And then we have Forster at 16 or 17. It's not as if this is a team with a ton of goal scorers. And we clearly know how the power play is going, where you rack up those secondary assists a la Lane Hudson.
Yep.
It has been a ton of Travis Konecny. And when I thought of him, even 2 months ago, he's skilled. He's our best player still, kind of, sort of, based on what you think of what Michkov is becoming.
Yeah.
Best player, highest paid player. I kind of thought of him as one-dimensional, at least in terms of how he creates offense. What does he do? He scores on the rush, and that's huge. Need a guy who scores on the rush, just rips a shot between the glove and the pad, and it goes in 30 times a year. Great. If he can produce offense another way now, I mean, in terms of him aging, that's great because he's not always going to be able to block a shot and take it 200 feet,
Right.
And him being able to distribute a little bit, create offense a little bit, it bodes well. We have an insane number of people watching this show for a Monday end of season kind of throwaway game. Love our audience. And if you haven't already, man, hit that like button. Jump those likes up. Want to see a like spike before we get to tonight's super chats, a bunch of super chats to get to with about 5-6 minutes left in the show. But hit the like button. We need it.
Hit it.
We need it. We want it. Give it the thumbs up. Why not? For Charlie, if nothing else. It makes him feel good about himself. And we need to build up Charlie. We can tell he's clearly stressing as the season winds down.
Of course he is.
He's a special character, that Charlie. Love him, though.
I love him.
All right, Brenna. We don't have any other traffic, right? I've hit the stuff I have to hit. All right. Let's hit those super chats.
Look at all these super
chats.
All right.
Lead it off, as we often do with our pal JH. He says, the real tank is the friends we made along the way.
Right.
And we have clearly made a ton of friends based on the number of people watching this show live, people who've jumped in, jumped out, hit that like button. Really appreciate it. But it's it's always going to be lottery luck. It's never just going to be they're terrible. Except for that one time they went 22-60 and somehow drafted second instead of first.
And in our hearts, Tank fans, we know that we don't want to be Chicago.
Oh. I would take it if I had their banners too. Like, that's the thing.
Well, that's different.
There's also like, let's bottom out because we had the parade.
William, when they win a cup, I'm not going to care at all what happens after it. I won't care. So,
I mean, at this point, I'm not going to know what happens afterwards.
No, I'll be dead.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean. But what I'm saying is I don't want to have a team mired in misery with no clear pathway out of it. That isn't like we're just going to lose every game that we play. They're not even going to show us on television. Everyone's miserable and hates it here. Like, that is bad.
I do think
we're doing it better.
I do think Chicago does their, we can't even air the games thing anymore in order to make the league rig it for them.
Probably.
I do think, we're like the 5th biggest market in America. What
help
are you going to,
you're
not going to help us?
Yeah.
That we're going to have leading up to the draft lottery. Maybe because we're going to do a draft lottery watch along is I think what we're planning.
Oh, neat.
Maybe I go through each conspiracy for each team ahead of the Flyers on that show.
Yes.
Like, because I think I could come up with one for each team why it won't be the Flyers.
He's gonna go insane.
Oh yeah, that's my. I mean,
amazing.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Ugh.
All right, for what's this? Jaguar philosopher. That's how I say Jaguar. Players and coaches, with few exceptions, do not care about the long-term future of the team. Most of these guys won't be here in 3 years. Yeah, I mean that's odd. We see it in sports every year. I mean, we even saw the New York Giants. I think it was in the final game of their season where they're like, if we lose, we're going to pick like second. And all of a sudden, like their players are bawling out. And I think one of their receivers like catches a touchdown and yells in the camera, like, take that for your tank or something, like F your tank, I believe he yelled. Like, and that can be fuel for teams. And you don't want a team of losers. I do believe you can get ahead by kind of tanking the way other teams have. Look, it's worked. It has worked for some teams. It hasn't worked for others. I don't think it's a guarantee. Nothing is a guarantee, especially in hockey. It's ping pong out there. It's basically pinball. But you don't want Owen Tippett being like, who I could use is that James Hagen's centering for me, so I'm gonna not score. Like that. That's a loser mentality, and you don't want a loser mentality.
Also, I think that the players do care about the long-term future of the team in the sense that, like, most of these guys want to play here and don't want to be traded. So most of them are hoping to play another 8, 9, 10 years. They want the team that they're on to be good for the length of it, and they don't want to be traded. So, like, I think Owen Tippett is invested in the future success of the Flyers.
I do think he's invested in that way, like doesn't want them to suck his whole career. He signed an 8-year contract.
Right.
But it's different. Like, he wants himself and Michkov and TK and Sanheim and the guys who are definitely going to be here to play well enough to force Danny Briere to go make trades and sign free agents. And
they should do that.
Like, oh yeah, they absolutely should. That said, like, you don't want to be Nashville and spend $1 billion and still suck.
You gotta make the right moves.
But I think they're invested in that way of like, we're going to prove that we deserve to be invested in rather than, we're bad, so we get draft picks, so we're good in 4 years. Like, I don't think they're invested in that way. Yeah, maybe, as you have pointed out time and time again.
I know, I'm never going to stop being
and you know what? I appreciate it. We need someone who is the other way. And that's you on this show. And Charlie, who just doesn't care.
No.
Barry Schaefer with a super chat. And before we get to that, just want to say, we're going to overtime.
We need a goal horn sound.
Head over to allphly.com to keep watching. All right, Barry Schaefer, he says, if Bradshaw leaves the team, what are your thoughts on Drysdale not getting another year under his coaching?
Would hate it.
That's a really good question. It's why, regardless of if he gets the job on, hey, let's give you a shot because we're not ready, to bring in the coach who's going to be here for the long haul because coach's last 3 years. It
Seems
was
like
actually
nuts.
it was really interesting because I was listening to the radio on the way here,
Mhm.
and it was Brian Smith and Jason Martinez, and I think it was Jason had a very interesting like idea of why coaches last like. Their shelf life now is a year and a half, 2.
It's
Jim
pretty short.
Montgomery never loses and gets fired
I
because he
know,
got
right?
off to a bad start. Kids now, the way they come up, they have a different coach every 2 years. So that's kind of just what they're used to. Like you go from your youth team, your club team, and then suddenly, and you don't just play for one team. You have multiple coaches. Then you're at major, junior. Then maybe you make the jump to the AHL. Maybe you go to college, and then you're in the NHL. Like no one ever has a coach for 5 years. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, but whether he gets this shot or he keeps on as the D coach with the next guy, or they keep him in the organization as head of player development or something.
Yeah.
I do want all the defensemen, Oliver Bonk, all of these
Yes.
dudes to get more of Brad Shaw because, dear God, think about what we thought about these defensemen before he got here.
Rasmus
Ristolainen,
Ristolainen.
whose claim to fame prior to Brad Shaw was the Flyers traded for him, and I thought he ruined our draft party. Like, oh, we don't have a first now, and it's this guy no one likes, so
Great.
thanks a lot, Rasmus.
Thanks,
And
Chuck.
they give him that extension, and we're
Yeah.
all
Losing our minds.
mad about it. And now it's like, it's pretty good.
Not so bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I do want Shaw to stay around in
Same.
some way. It would stink if, like, especially Drysdale, guys like that don't get another year. This next one here from Joshua Cross. Still no power play goals for Tippett. They gave it to. Did they take that goal away?
They did. They gave it to
Oh,
Poehling.
so he didn't even score in that game. They took it away.
Gave it to
That's
Poehling. Although,
that's a bummer.
I mean,
It's just going to be funny when you see at the
His
end of the
goal.
year 0 goals
Yeah,
and
I
he's
know.
still at 19. He hasn't even cracked 20 yet. I didn't see that. Wow, that's funny as
he
hell.
did something.
All right, from James. James Super Chat says, last year's late slump ensures this win streak. Listen, they could win. They could lose the next 6. That's very much on the
Very
table.
easily.
They have this little dead cat bounce now from the coach getting fired. Now they do have some days off, but while the teams they're about to play aren't very good, most of them are in like at least some semblance of a race. They kind of gotta
Yeah,
win.
Montreal's got to win.
That said, the Flyers were in that position last year and lost like every game for the last month. So
Yeah, but
who the hell knows?
who knows?
But it's not over yet. It's not over yet, fam. They could still easily finish like 4th from the bottom. All right, from boss man Vince. Says, Kelly, I was thinking about your position on Brad Shaw. Can he become Flyers' version of Jeff Stoutland, coach who stays no matter the year?
You know I don't other sports.
All
Who's
right,
Jeff
so he
Stoutland?
is the Eagles offensive line coach, and
Okay.
he's thought of as like the special sauce. He came in with Chip Kelly. He stayed through Doug Peterson. Now he's here with Nick Sirianni, and he's never going to be a head coach, never going to be an offensive coordinator. He is an awesome offensive line coach, and he will remain that until he decides like he wants to go hang out with his wife rather than coach football.
Yeah, why can't hockey do stuff like that? Hockey's so weird.
There's just so many fewer, I guess it's like less
Yeah.
specialized, but I would love if that was the case.
Same.
Like keep him around forever as far as I'm concerned. Make
Yeah.
him the GM. What the hell?
Also, like, who's to say he's not the guy to coach the team? If these last games continue to go well,
If they give him a 2 or 3 year
give him a
contract
tryout.
and say you're the
next year.
coach until we figure out something else or you prove that you're our John Cooper, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Me neither.
Not a problem at all. All right, another one here from Vince. He says, Bill, we do not talk ill about Noah Cates. He is here forever. I am sorry. No, that's to start
He's
the
a
season
full
and
convert.
into the season. Vince was just very anti Noah Cates when we would try to be like, well, you know, and Vince would just not hear it. And now he is Noah Cates' #1 fan. So
Yeah.
we appreciate your changing your mind there, Vince. All right, from Dylan Forrester. Thoughts on Parker Gagan for a 2-way? I have no thoughts on Parker Gagan. He appears to be the best of the goalies that the Flyers have in and out of the AHL the last couple of years. I thought he was like a young guy, just like making his way in the E though, and he's
Yeah.
not. He's like 29 or something.
Listen, it's Zavragin. If it's not Zavragin, we gotta start from
Yeah,
scratch.
if it's not Zavragin or Bjarnason or Kolosov,
We're
it's
starting from scratch,
someone
fam.
whose name we don't know. But
Exactly.
he's fine in the A, I guess. He is what he is.
I don't believe it.
From Vince again, he says, "Why not us? Who the hell knows? The way this thing shakes out, they could very well make the playoffs. Who's to say? This team's ridiculous.
Are you trying to kill Charlie? He'll die.
If this team makes the playoffs, we're going to have to hire someone else.
He's already booked his vacation.
And finally, is this the last one here? Vince has like 4 super chats tonight. We are going to do a draft lottery party for diehards as well. Yeah, we're gonna be doing something, and I think we're gonna bring diehards in. I don't know all the details, but stay tuned. The lottery the last couple of years has been like May 7th or May 8th, so we have like a month to figure this out. I don't know if they've even announced the date for this year
They
yet.
said, I think 6th or 7th or
6th
7th
or 7th? Okay. All right. So stay tuned for that. But diehards, and if you're not a diehard, sign up at allphly.com. But that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers postgame tonight. Of course, we are always brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. A few days off from games, and we have a bunch of actual shows coming up. Really looking forward to sitting down and talking out all the little issues we get to get into here with the full crew. Yes, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, all 4 p.m. shows. So make sure you tune in then right here. Set that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. I am Bill. That is Kelly. Until tomorrow, Mad Russian, baby.
We all silly like the mayor.